You heard it here before it arrived on Twitter. James Creedon is growing a beard.
I don't know. I'm just not shaving. It's not the same thing. Well, it might be.
What do the French call it? They call it the
Barbe de trois jours.
Barbe de trois jours.
Barbe de trois jours.
The three-day beard. Yeah.
3 days growth. It's actually a bit more than that.
You better get on Media Watch. It's very
Fertilizer.
Okay, where are we starting?
We're starting with the front page of Le Monde, Mark, which came out this afternoon, focusing on the third woman in the race, Marine Le Pen, but she is the name that everybody is mentioning because her score was particularly high. It was 18%, revised down from 20%
This is their best
in the
performance ever, isn't
estimations. It is her best performance ever, and in
It's
particular,
even more than 2002 when her dad got through to the second round.
That's right. That's right.
With fewer votes.
With
yeah,
fewer
yeah.
votes because the socialist vote collapsed that year. And also, another surprise because the opinion polls weren't predicting it. The opinion polls were saying, oh, they might get 13%, they might get 14%. They got 18% plus. And that happens frequently with the Front National because people don't admit to pollsters, even to their family and friends sometimes, that they vote Front National because there's a bit of a stigma
It's
attached.
France's dirty secret. People
That's
who vote
exactly
for
it.
National Front.
That's exactly it. So that is the big issue of the day, and we're seeing on Twitter the number of people who voted for the Front National, 6.4 million. That figure I've seen circulated a lot with people being very critical.
It's one of these things, James, because people say, they don't know people who vote for the National Front, but I mean,
you have to. 1 in 5
I think
people.
if you're mixing the same sort of like media circles and stuff, you don't meet people. But if you go and do normal things with normal French people, I mean, people where I play rugby talk about voting National Front. People who I sort of see when I'm out and about walking the dog, they talk about the National Front. The National Front poster was one of the ones that wasn't ripped down where I live.
Well, what's interesting is the media have been trying to figure out, or various websites have been trying to figure out, look, what is this Front National vote? Is it an anti-immigration vote? Is it a sort of a nationalist vote, kind of a rejection of the European Union, a rejection of immigration? Or is it, in some cases, which is the case, I think, just a protest vote, a sort of an up yours, for want of a more appropriate term, to the political establishment, not just Sarkozy, but the state in general. It's like, well, you don't want us to vote this way? You think this is negative? Well, deal with it. Yeah. So I think it's a combination of all of those factors. In the media, for example, various different websites have been looking at that. The other big issue today was the fact that the numbers were leaking out before the 8 p.m. Cut-off point yesterday at the closing of polls because Belgian media were reporting exit polls, as were other media abroad, and it was being circulated on social media. Do you know what the Paris prosecutor did this morning?
What did he do?
He has opened proceedings against the AFP news agency, against 2 Belgian websites, against 1 Swiss website, against a New Zealand-based website, and against a Belgian journalist who tweeted the results on Twitter. These are symbolic.
He hasn't got jurisdiction to prosecute those people, has he?
That's exactly the question. And indeed, in this article in the L'Express website, they say that from a French point of view, if that website is being beamed into French territory, they do have jurisdiction, which really seems like a totally obsolete way of viewing things in an internet age.
It seems pretty tenuous. One thing I need to clarify before we move on is that I find everything the National Front say in France to be abhorrent. I just want to get that clear here and now. What's next, sir?
All right, well, I'll show you a couple of just quirkier things that have been on the web today. The thing is, people are kind of providing breakdowns of who voted what and where. So you can go to your particular neighbourhood and find out who voted or how people voted in that neighbourhood. So people have been going to the town of Mars. There is a town called Mars in France. And thinking, how did Mars vote? Now, the thing is here, Jacques Cheminade...
Was there life in Mars?
Was there life there? Well, there's some life in Mars, not much though. Jacques Cheminade was the most minor candidate. He got 0.25% of the vote. And he is in favour of space travel and of, investing in travel to Mars. And they're saying here, even Mars didn't vote for Jacques Cheminade, which is a little bit unfair. Aww. And there were these kind of photos circulating online of aliens voting for Jacques Cheminade.
Oh, that's funny. I like that.
Now let's move to another image of the day.
Yeah.
This was on the Canal Plus channel last night for election coverage. The former Justice Minister, let's roll these pictures. Look at what she was wearing on her back. This is the former Justice Minister of France.
That's Rachida Dati, and that's her back.
Who apparently took a strong stance on drugs, but that looks like a cannabis leaf stitched to her back.
That to me looks like... cannabis leaf, yeah.
Now let's take a look at what her excuse was online.
I want to hear this. Go on.
Right. So she said, "Oh, that wasn't a cannabis leaf. That was a eucalyptus leaf, right?"
Yeah.
Now let's just compare what a eucalyptus leaf looks like compared to a cannabis leaf, and let's just go back up to that.
I think Rachida Dati doesn't know what a eucalyptus leaf looks like.
Then she said, "Oh, it was a Japanese maple," or somebody else in her entourage said. So I think they were basically going through botany books trying to find.
I think that was an Acer excuse. That's a pun. That maple Acer. There we go. I think anyway. There we go.
Now, while people tend to talk about Twitter, and it's true in a lot of occasions, as being a tool of the, for
the
journalists,
chattering classes,
but for journalists as well, for people who just are, That's right. It's not something that has broad appeal for the broader public, even though increasingly it does. Here's an example to counter those who say that it's just for the chattering classes. Hashtag find Louis. You were telling me about this earlier.
Find Louis.
This is a London sort of effort. Look, 36 new tweets since even I last looked on, to locate a dog called Louis, the beagle that went missing. Somebody put it up online and it's been retweeted something like 150 times, and it started a whole sort of, so, you know, it shows the way in which the internet can also help people to organise search
It was
parties.
my other half who got into this one because she noticed that one of the tweets was retweeted by a former commissioner of the Metropolitan Police.
There you go.
It just the number of people getting involved is
It
huge.
took off, and I believe that we should give a little. I heard about Betty the Beagle. Who is Betty the Beagle? Can you tell me?
Betty.
I got a little insight into this.
Betty is our dog at home. Betty is our pet beagle, and she has her own Twitter account. And she
Well, there you go.
she tweets throughout the day all the things that she's been up to.
Well,
James,
more
you caught me
more
there.
interesting than some Twitter feeds, I can tell you.
James Creedon, good luck with the beard.
There
Thank you very
are
much indeed.
journalists with less interesting Twitter feeds.
At Betty the Beagle, if you'd like to follow our dog Betty with all her adventures out in the forest of Rambouillet. James, thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed. That was James with Media Watch, and a fine growing beard there, as we've just seen.